everyone, and welcome to the Indie Author Life Show, a space that's dedicated to sharing the unique stories of authors and creatives within the self-publishing space. My name is MG Hunt, and today I'm here with the wonderful Emma Greville to chat about her indie author life. So thank you so much for joining me here today, Emma. I'm really excited to get into all the exciting projects that you have going on in your world.
Thank you for inviting me here. I'm very excited to talk to you today.
Oh, me too. I think one of our first interactions that we had was, I know we were just talking about this before, when you invited me to fill out a written interview for your newsletter, The Massive Missive. That's what
Yeah,
it's called? Is that
that
right?
is. And
Oh,
you were
yeah.
you were my first guest on that with the viewer for debut. So you're
Loved it.
famous in my mind just for that.
Oh, that's so cool. I really enjoyed answering your questions because you did your research, and I remember looking at them thinking,
Right, yeah.
I've really got to put my thinking cap on. And I think every author loves talking about their books, even though sometimes we do get a bit shy about maybe doing a sales pitch or something like that to
Yeah.
advertise it. But to talk about like the meat and bones about the book, that's something that's very exciting. We
And
flourish.
as a reader, that's what you want to know. You know, you read this book and you think, oh, why did the author choose that specifically, or where did that come from? Or I would never have thought of that. Why did they
Yeah.
think of that? So yeah, getting into the meat and bones,
Mm,
it's important to do a deep dive sometimes, and sometimes you forget as well how much work you put into it.
yeah.
And getting questions of, like, well, how did this come about? You're like, oh my God, yeah, I
Yeah.
remember actually. I
Yeah.
was just sitting on the train and it dropped into my head.
And that's sometimes where you have to go cast your mind back and think, why did I do that again? Where was
Yeah,
I
yeah,
in that headspace when I made that decision or such and such? So,
yeah. And would I do it again?
yeah,
It's
would I do
always a
it
good
that way?
one. Yeah.
More about yourself and your writing life. I would love if you could give us an insight into your background and where you grew up.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm English, as you can tell,
Yep.
and I've been in Australia for it's coming up to 20 years now. I chased a man that I met at a house party in London a long, long time ago, and I followed him to Melbourne. And
Oh.
then we got married and we've got 5 kids. So
Whoa, that is a love
yeah.
story.
So it was quite an exciting start, and then it just kind of like, oh yeah, it's just got married and have kids. So I've been a stay-at-home mum for a long time.
Ah,
But I do like words have always been my passion. I
yeah.
studied English at uni, got a
Mm.
master's degree in literary criticism. I've got a couple of certificates in editing, and before I came over here, I was a sub-editor for newspapers in London. And when I moved over here, I dabbled in a bit of music journalism.
Wow.
And then while I was a stay-at-home mum, I did some academic editing, but not much. I was really just focused on the baby years, but also at the same time, had an idea for a middle grade book and I kind of tinkered with it. And it took me a good 10 years around babies to come up with this messy first draft.
Oh,
And
10
then in
years.
2019, my kids were at school in kinder, and I was like, right, this is it. I'm going to give myself a real chance. This is my time. So I enrolled in a year-long writing course at the Australian Writers Centre just to kind of like refresh
Yeah.
in 2020, and I started this course in March, and then COVID hit, and all my kids came home for
Oh,
homeschooling. And then I
oh,
found out I was pregnant. Yeah,
oh
with an
my God.
unexpected baby.
Oh
So I
my
did, so I
goodness.
did this writing course while homeschooling 4 kids and pregnant
Pregnant.
and with a newborn.
I can't
So it
believe
wasn't my year to concentrate on
Probably
me
not
at
on
all.
you, but it was your year in
Yeah,
a lot of different ways. A lot
it
happened to you.
was. Yeah, 2020 was really laughing at me.
Mm.
Yeah, and then out of that, this is my indie published middle grade novel, Raine
Yes.
in the Underlands. So
Underhands.
yeah,
Yeah.
that was kind of where I got to. And then writing that book, it got me into doing workshops in schools and libraries. And I found out that I really love doing that. And it just reignited my creative spark that had
Yeah.
been really kind of just on the back burner
Yeah.
while I was busy just being a mum. And so now I've got like thousands of projects going on. I've got some written books. I've accidentally written some picture books, which I never thought I was going to do. But sometimes ideas just like pop into your brain and you're
They
like,
do.
I don't have to write that down.
Yep.
So yeah, it's been good, busy, surprising. It's been fun.
It's been fun. It's been busy and rewarding in so many different ways, but it is so wonderful to hear that you were still able to return back to that gnawing sense of, I don't know, like passion to write. And even
Yeah.
though maybe obviously your life had been shifted with the pregnancy and the birth of your fifth baby, in a time where you thought, this is it, this is the time to start writing. But
Mm.
things just have a way of coming back.
Yeah.
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 Mm,
I've actually, it made me realize that writing's really good for my mental health.
yes.
It's, because I do have this creative passion that
Yeah.
I had just put to the side. And it had always kind of manifested in different ways. Like I was always making like sewing dress ups for my kids and
Mm,
stuff. So I was still like, baking these crazy birthday cakes and
yeah.
stuff. So it was obvious that there was a part of me that wanted to make things.
Yeah.
So it was really good to get back into writing and then just be like, oh, this is the thing that I'm supposed to be doing.
Yes. Yes. I love it when people come to that realization about this is the thing I've been meaning up, I was meant
Yeah,
to do. And it
yeah,
just clicks inside of your head, even though you know that it's going to be a long journey to get the work published and it's not an easy journey, it still feels like you're on the right path to
yeah,
walk the hard journey. Mm,
yeah. And it really is a
yeah.
hard journey. And I think one
Mm,
of the hardest things about it is that you never know how close or how far you are from your goals. So it can be really difficult to kind of keep yourself motivated to just keep moving forward. The sense of self-belief that you need to have to just be like, no, I've got this, I can do this, it is going to happen. It can be exhausting. And I think
yes.
for me, what I've had to really separate is that publishing is a business
Yeah.
and writing is an art. And I
Mm,
have to separate those two things. And I have to say to myself, I'm writing because if I don't, I can't sleep at night because I've got characters talking to me in my head and I can't concentrate on conversations with other people because I'm working through some sort of story. So I have to write in order to be able to function properly.
I love that. I
Because if
love
I'm
that.
not, I'm not listening to you. There are other people in my head talking, so let me get them out onto the page so that we
Oh,
can,
I feel so seen
function.
when you say that
Yeah.
because that is exactly kind of before I go to bed. Well, sorry, before I
Yes.
even go to sleep, I'm already
Yeah.
it's there. It's something that kind of like
Yes.
lulls me to sleep in some
Yeah.
ways. Yeah, it just they don't
Like,
shut
you
up.
go to sleep thinking about them, and you wake up thinking about them, and that's when like you have to go with this. It's
Yeah.
it's not an urge. It's like it's an actual need.
Yeah,
And then
it
when
is a
you do
need.
write a good short story or you get a scene right or you get this character down perfectly, it feels so good. It
It
feels
does.
so great when you do it.
It's better than any other. It's such a profound feeling. I was going to say it
Yeah,
probably is one of the best feelings I've experienced. I'm sure you could
yeah,
probably relate to that, where when it all comes together, even though you know that yes, there is the publishing aim for a lot of different things, and that's maybe like the next step that you take maybe after you write it, but to actually be in the creative space to birth the idea and
yes,
have it there
yeah,
and complete it, it's a feeling like no other.
it is. And I think it's really important to honor that
Mm,
without thinking about what's going to happen at the end. And it
yes.
makes it a lot easier to write because otherwise you can sit there thinking, well, should I write it like this?
Yeah.
Because if that's not on trend at the moment, or it's,
Ah.
not fulfilling all the tropes of the genre or something, you get really kind of creatively stifled.
Yes.
And I
Yes.
think you have to be true to your own vision. And I think of it like other artists. I think writers are artists and
Oh
we
yeah.
forget that.
Yeah.
And a lot of I have friends who paint and they will paint a picture and they love it, so they just hang it on the wall
Exactly.
so that they can admire it and love it. There's no like, will it get into a gallery or could I sell it for $200? There's just,
Mm.
I've created something beautiful.
Yep.
So I
And
think
yeah.
it's for me, it's really important just to write something and go, oh, that is really good. Okay, maybe now I will see if I can get it out to the world. But you can
Yes.
have pride in just having created something that you love.
Exactly. And I really resonate with that. And that's the one thing that really motivates me to complete the manuscripts that I've written
Mm,
because I just want to do it. I
yes.
don't really have some of them, yes, I've had to maybe engage with like the practical side of things will be you have to book your editor in months in advance. So that's the aim to do that. But in my practice, I am a slow writer, so I book that way in
Yeah.
advance. So I have the time to sit with the project and go at my own pace and really work at the craft and the art of it and the enjoyment of being in a world and with the characters that you make.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's amazing sitting in, especially if you do write fantasy, to
Mm.
sit in a reality
Yeah.
that you've created that has existed nowhere except in your head.
Oh,
And then it
unbelievable.
exists in a book, and
Oh,
then you can share it with other people. Like it's amazing. It's godlike
it
almost.
is. It is. I'm so glad that you've said that because I felt like that too. Because it is something that I had this thought the other day where I was like, I know that sometimes our minds can play tricks on us and imposter syndrome kicks in, but
Mm,
I wouldn't trade having the enjoyment of creating new worlds in my head. And I'm sure that's the same with so many different artists and authors, where you just know that this is my mind and I'm not going to trade it
yeah,
for anything or yes, there are some struggles with the self-doubt, but I wouldn't
yeah.
trade it. Speaking of getting your work out there slash finding the time to write, can you give us an insight into what a day or week in your life looks like and how writing fits into that?
Uh, Firstly, no 2 days are the same. So my kids are older now, which just means that instead of having them under my feet so I can't write, I'm driving them
Yes.
everywhere and doing after school sports. So I spend, and as an editor myself, I say this to my clients all the time, thinking time is writing
It,
time. So
yes.
I often don't I can go days without writing,
Yep.
but I will spend so much time thinking about my characters or thinking through plot holes that by the time I do sit down and write, I can, write 1,000 words
Yep.
really quickly.
Yep.
And often, like, I'm lucky to get an hour or 2 hours a day to write. I started doing NaNoWriMo a couple of years ago
Yeah.
because without a deadline, I won't do anything. Like my brain is just all over the place. So I have to give myself deadlines. So
Yep.
I found this writing a novel in November was really useful. Obviously, that then all fell apart and we don't do NaNoWriMo
Yes.
anymore.
No.
I still now have November as my novel writing month, which it makes
Oh.
absolutely no sense because all my kids have birthdays in the second half of the year. And we're coming up to Christmas, and there's all the
Oh.
the end of year activities and things for schools. That makes absolutely no sense. But in my brain, I'm like, no,
Yeah.
November's writing month.
It has
So
become like a ring, hasn't it? The NaNoWriMo
yeah,
sort of thing. And for those who might not be aware of NaNoWriMo, do you mind giving a bit of an insight into what that was?
yeah. So it was just, I guess, an organization is the right word, an online community where you commit to writing 50,000 words in a month. Now, I've been writing middle grade fiction, so that means that in a month I could write a whole novel. And I did that in 2023. I did that with a book called The Girl in the Corner.
Hmm.
And I wrote that in about 23 days, I think. And my first book took me 10 years. Remember that? I went
Yeah.
from taking a decade to write a book to getting out the first draft in 23 days. And that was because I had spent so much time thinking
Yep.
about it that I then
Mm-hmm.
wrote the outline and I was good to go. I knew exactly what was going to happen. And then I did that last year as well for another middle grade book that was 40,000 words. And I'm doing it again this month with
This
my
month.
first foray into adult fiction. So this is longer.
Wow. This is
So
exciting.
that's how my brain works. If I don't have a deadline, I will just fart about having a nice time and
Same.
going off and doing lots of other little creative projects as well. Like I'll just be
Yes.
like, oh no, I had this idea. I'm gonna have a play with that one. And then I'll look at my desktop and I've got a billion unfinished little projects, snippets. So
Yeah.
have to focus. I'm very, very bad at focusing.
It's
So
okay. You're in safe
this
company.
idea, yeah, yeah. Again, it's
Yeah.
that creative brain, isn't it? We're
Oh.
like magpies. You get a little shiny idea and you have to have a play with it.
You do, and it is the play part of it because then all of a
Mm,
sudden it's sitting in your brain and you go, "Oh, I really want to get into this." And then you
yeah,
start it and then you're still passionate about it, but something else will spark your interest or, life gets in the way and you think, "Okay,
yeah.
well, let's park that for now." I get distracted by something else. Or even if it's not
Mhm.
writing, I'm an illustrator as well, so I love to draw and I mean there are a
Yeah.
lot of unfinished drawings sitting around.
Yeah.
So that's very easy where I get distracted.
And
But
then
yes, I
I, I,
very much relate.
I get a little bit sad sometimes when I look at a project that I've started and left, and then I'm like, oh, they had really good bones. Why didn't I finish it? But then I've kind of lost the
Yeah.
impetus. And then I'm like, well, I can't actually remember where I was going with it. I
Yeah.
like the writing, but I don't know what was going to happen.
But
So,
you never know. You can come back to it. I feel like
yeah,
there's always potential, and sometimes maybe it's not the right time to get into the
yeah,
particular story that you're writing. I did actually dabble with writing because I write fantasy
yeah,
and upper YA fantasy, almost in the new adult category. And I did have an idea for a romance novel back in 2023, wrote 30,000 words and then just didn't go back to it. But I still have it in the back of my mind one day.
yeah.
One
And it will
day.
always be there.
Yeah.
30,000, that's a really good
It's a
chunk
big
to
chunk.
then go,
Yeah.
not
Well,
today,
not
something
today.
else.
I don't know why I did that, but I just went, oh, well, it's not. I still am passionate about it, but I knew that I was more passionate about fantasy.
Yeah.
That's where my passions lie. Romance, I just don't have probably the resolve to continue going
Mm.
with it unless it did have some like fantastical elements to it, which
Yes.
maybe,
Yeah.
but no, that's it.
I've tried to write straight fiction and then suddenly, there's like
Yeah.
a witch or a ghost or something. What's
Yes.
going on here?
You just want something a little bit, I don't know, like fun.
Yeah. Yes, that's
But
it. And life is a bit sad and depressing and boring
sometimes.
sometimes. So let's chuck some dragons in there.
Exactly. And it's even like with I read Fourth Wing and I know that that was a very popular romantasy book because people loved the
Mm,
characters and the romance that was there. But for me, I was like, I love the dragons. I love
yes,
those
yeah. Who doesn't
dragons.
want to be a dragon rider? I want to be a
Exactly.
dragon rider.
I love the story about the dragons and all the
Yes.
different types of dragons and all that kind of stuff.
Mm,
And so that's what pulled me into that rather than
yeah,
like the
yeah.
romance part. I was like, oh, it's just not there for me, which is probably why I
No,
do stick with the fantasy, I guess. But I'm sure that's
I'm
similar to
not a big romance
you.
reader.
Yeah.
It's not my genre.
Yeah.
Yeah, give me ghosts and witches and magic, and I am in
You're
there.
in there. Yeah, absolutely. I think there is something more exciting about it. Not to say that there have been some romance books where I've absolutely loved and thought that they were
Mhm.
great and thought-provoking, but I think our souls just, gravitate towards the magic.
Yeah, yeah. There's that little bit of the child still inside who thinks,
Yes.
yeah, but maybe magic is real.
Yes, exactly, exactly. I'm the same as you there. I'm
Yeah.
wondering if you maybe could. answer this following question for me, which is what do you find is the hardest part of writing versus the most enjoyable?
So for me, well, I'm going to start with the most enjoyable because I love when you get a new idea
Yeah,
and you're just about to start getting into it and like nothing's happened yet, but
yeah.
it's so exciting. And I do find that ideas just kind of drop into my head sometimes and I'll just be like doing something and I'll be like, whoa, what? Oh, okay, that's quite interesting. Where am I going to go with that? And my most recent book that I've just started writing for my own NaNoWriMo, it's my
Yes.
first adult foray.
Mhm.
And I was just scrolling Reddit one night and I read something about call centers and it made me laugh so hard. I was just like, I am using this in a book.
Wow.
And that was just so exciting because I had no intentions of ever writing anything as a children's fiction. I was just like, I'm just a kid's book writer because, I love the fantasy and the dragons and the magic and all of that. And yeah, I just read this thing and I was like, oh my God, that's so funny. I'm going to write a book about it. And, it is a fantasy book,
Yeah.
but it's, based in a call center in London in the
Oh,
2000s and the clubbing scene. And I'm having so much fun with it. I'm only 11,000 words into it, maybe 14 now, I can't remember.
wow.
But I'm playing with it and I'm having fun and kind of know what's going to happen, but I don't exactly. Like the characters are speaking to me at the moment and they're pouring themselves
Hmm.
off onto the page. And their idiosyncrasies are coming out, and I'm kind of going like, I didn't expect you to do that. And I
It's,
really love that part. It's so exciting. The
yes.
hardest thing is just finding the time to sit down and
Yep.
do it without it feeling, it can feel self-indulgent, I
Hmm.
think, because we're so used to doing stuff that we're paid for
Yep.
or stuff that is, like going to the gym for sort of self-improvement and things
Yeah.
that I think it's really hard to just sit down and go, I'm just going to create,
Yes.
nothing more. I'm just going to sit in my quiet space in my own head and
Yep.
create. So it's just the practicalities of how
Mm.
to fit it in with everything else that's the hardest
Yeah, it is
part
really
for
hard.
me.
Yeah, I very much relate to that. I think that um maybe it's something that hasn't quite shifted, or I'm learning to shift into a place of where you say that making it feel less self-indulgent in a
Mm,
negative way that's not productive for society or productive for whatever monetary means or whatever. But doing it for yourself sometimes feels like that has been lost through the practice of doing something that has the potential to generate income. And that was a battle that was always in my head when I was doing my visual arts degree and
mm,
engaging in art and illustration in that way, thinking, yeah, but I should probably spend my time into trying to sell this, but I didn't really want to. I just wanted to sit
yeah,
and just draw. And then when it came to writing, then I knew that, yeah, it would be really wonderful to put the work out there. And it is, and I've enjoyed it, but I need to keep reminding myself that the purest part of the pure joy of that is in the creation. And that can be hard for me to
yeah.
keep linking back to.
You think what's kind of in it,
Yeah.
why am I doing this? And it's quite okay to say I'm doing it because I like it and it makes me feel
Yes.
good.
Because I want
And I
to.
do think you have to honor that. It's not really, there's not much difference in going out for a run for an hour or going to the gym for an hour, which we're all like, yeah, good on you. You're being really healthy. But for a lot
Mm.
of us creatives, being mentally healthy
Yeah.
is to create.
To
So I,
create.
I think you have to really have that mindset of like, that this is important. It's important to me. It's important for my mental well-being.
Yeah.
But it's really easy to lose sight of that
Hmm.
in the day-to-day
Yeah.
everything.
It is hard to keep coming back to it when life gets in the way. And I can imagine
Mm,
with 5 children and running a household and also finding the time for yourself even to switch your brain off and not be creative is something that is important that you might have to do as well because it does take a lot of energy to create.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it does.
So that's another thing you have to juggle as well. But at the end of the day, we're all trying our best here. We're all trying our
Yeah,
best. It's hard,
keep
but
on keeping on.
that's right. And I think that there is a joy in just sitting down and doing stuff for the sake, being creative for the sake of being creative, not worrying about the perception of other people having their sort of thoughts about what you should be doing with your life or
Mm,
even though it feels like I don't have other people's voices in my head when I'm writing or being creative, but it's hard not to sometimes shake that feeling of like, oh, am I not being productive enough? But why should that
yeah.
matter? Why should that
I
matter?
think it gets easier as you get older
Mm-hmm.
and you care less about
Mm-hmm.
what other people are thinking and
Yes.
saying. You know,
Yes.
there's you get the wisdom of age, which is just like, I don't care. I'm just
Oh,
going to do it because I want to.
yes, yes, I love that. And I think I'm slowly learning more things about that in my life. I've just entered a new decade in my 30s now. So I'm really starting to try and um,
Yeah.
honor that. Like, it's my life, it's my decisions. I want to be creative. Let's do that. Let's have fun with life and things like that. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to more wisdom.
There
Yeah.
won't be much, just enough.
Just enough to get through and
Just
make.
enough. Yeah.
I will get into the next part of the question list that I have, which is the award that you won. So you recently were awarded second place in the CYA 2025 Writing and Illustrating competition in chapter books for older readers. And this was for the book The Girl in the Corner, is that right? Or the story The
Yeah.
Girl in the Corner. Is it a short story or a
No, it's a upper middle grade, so it's
Yep.
50,000 words. It's right on the top word limit for middle grade. I love this book so much. You know, sometimes you just
Good.
write something and you're just like, oh wow, I'm so excited.
Your passion
Um,
flowing through it.
God, I love it. I really, I can't say too much because it's
Okay.
not been published yet, and I don't want to give it
Yeah.
away. But
Yeah.
it's a dual timeline historical adventure ghost story. So I love ghost
Yes.
stories, and I've loved ghost stories since I was, I think, 10. It's my absolute favorite genre. So I've written the book that I wanted to read. It's kind of like Oliver Twist meets Lockwood and Co., or maybe Anne of Green Gables with ghosts.
Ooh,
And
okay.
it's centered around the Geelong jails. I live in Geelong,
Yep.
and there's an old jail up on the hill, and it's a massive bluestone building, and
Yeah.
it's really menacing and intimidating. And in the 1800s, they used to send children there as well, you know,
Mm.
like so you get your proper criminals and then little kids. And as soon as I heard about that, I was like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
that's quite interesting. I'm
Yes.
pretty sure there's a ghost story here.
Oh yeah,
So
absolutely.
I wrote this book in 23 days in
Oh,
NaNoWriMo in 2023.
I can't wrap my head
And
around
it
that.
started to do quite well in competitions.
Yeah.
It was runner-up in Pitch It, so I actually got an assessment from Kate Gordon.
Uh-huh.
And so she helped me really like whip it into pretty good shape. And then it
Yeah.
got longlisted for the Hawkeye Manuscript Development Prize and for
Wow.
the Right Mentor Awards. And I entered it into the CYA competition last year and it got absolutely nowhere. It was the middle of the
Okay.
pack. Um, but then because it got longlisted in these other competitions, I got feedback from the judges.
Interesting.
So I went back into it and I changed the opening scene completely. And then I resubmitted it to CYA as a completely different book because I think you submit the first 1,000 words. So it's the
Mm.
same story, but the opening scene was completely different. And then I found out I was in the shortlist, and the shortlist is only 3 books. And then I came second, and it was
Amazing.
unbelievable. And it just, it goes to show you have to listen to people. When people
Yeah.
say this isn't working,
Yep.
kill your darlings.
Kill them.
And it's for new authors especially, it's really hard. And I
Yeah.
loved the opening scene.
Hmm.
I did. It was like really in your face, creepy ghost story. The action was happening straight away, and it was
Yeah.
like it's a little bit too much.
Oh,
And
interesting.
I was
So they
quite
thought,
disappointed because I thought I
yeah,
want to read that when I was a kid,
yeah,
but then I changed it, and then it
it
came second.
evolved. How
Yeah.
interesting, because I would be almost the same as you, where I'd want the action straight up, and then we
Mm.
start to take a step back and look, how did we get there, or such and such in that kind of thing. But
Yeah.
because you listened to the judges and they would be respected people who have
Mm.
things and insights and they want to give you feedback. Of course, it's totally up to the discretion of yourself whether you take that or not, but you did, and second place was awarded to you.
Yeah.
Congratulations. That is amazing.
Thank you. Yeah.
Seriously.
And
So,
this is why I enter a lot of competitions, and
yeah.
it's a really good litmus test for how you're doing. And if
Ah,
if you're getting nowhere, it's like, well, maybe I do need to change something up. Is it not right for the audience I'm aiming for, or are the opening lines not working? And
interesting.
then, you have a little bit of a fiddle with it or change your synopsis. And then if you start to get placed and shortlisted, you know that it's working.
Yeah.
And like publishing can be really expensive. You have to pay for a lot of things. If you go to conferences, you have to pay. You have to pay for your editors. And,
Yeah.
it's important to have an editor. But if you're just starting out, it can be far too much money.
Yeah.
And competitions, like I think the most I've paid to enter a competition is $50. But that was
Yeah.
with judge feedback, which then I was then able to use. So I find competitions that are really good, quite economic way, just testing out the waters and seeing how you're doing. And sometimes you get amazing prizes like assessments from Kate Gordon,
Wow.
which is priceless, and
Well
she
worth.
doesn't offer
Yeah.
assessments as a thing anymore. And
Oh,
so she basically became my mentor through the first few drafts of this Girl in the Corner story, and I would never have got that if I hadn't entered the very first competition that
competition.
I entered into, which was just the pit.
Wow. Wow. It's
So
just
I
amazing.
advise all my clients and every new author to just enter competitions. And sometimes you won't get anywhere. And then every now and then you'll have a really nice surprise, and great things will happen.
Absolutely. That's very similar to even like the querying part of publishing too. Sometimes you won't
Mm.
get anywhere. Maybe in my instance, there was a lot
Yeah.
of times I did. And when I did get a rejection letter, it would be a little bit like, oh, they actually read it. It would
Yeah.
be like,
Yeah.
oh, okay. Like there's some
Yeah.
feedback from that. And you go, oh, okay. Like they liked this part, but not that. So as far as competitions that you are aware of, are there any that you would encourage, like specific ones that you would encourage your clients or writers to look at?
So the Hawkeye manuscript development prize, I got longlisted for that last
Yeah.
year. That's really useful because
Mm,
you do get feedback. Like every entrant gets feedback. You also have to write a marketing plan
that's really
for
good.
for it, which is quite unusual, but it really gets you
It
thinking.
does.
Whatever path you choose to publishing, like if you're going to go indie, to have your marketing plan already kind of there is really useful.
Yeah.
But the
Incredibly
winner
useful.
gets, a structural edit, a line edit, possibly publication. And it's, I don't know, $45 to enter, I think.
That's really
And
not that
then the other
much.
ones that I've entered are more sort of geared towards kids' books.
Yep.
So there's Pitch It, which is just right for kids, and you only need like 150 word pitch. So I might have secretly entered that with a pitch for a book I haven't written yet before. because then I have a deadline. And if I have a deadline, my brain kicks into gear and I write a book. And
Smart.
I don't recommend that to anyone else, but it works for me.
That's
So
it.
I quite often enter things, or often you have to like submit the first 5,000 words.
Yep.
So I might like have a really, really rough, horrible draft and just tidy up the first 5,000 words, enter it, and then panic and spend, the next two weeks working on the rest of it. But for me, it works. I have to have these deadlines, or I will just
Yeah.
mess about
Yeah.
having a nice time, just
Yeah.
playing.
Finding a happy medium between that two. And I think if there is a goal, that definitely does light a fire under my ass to get things done. So having a competition deadline and that kind of stuff can be a nice little thing to do as well. But that is a really great piece of advice and actually something that I haven't heard a lot of other authors talk about in this space, which is how important it is to consider competitions because it does broaden your scope again in another community that you might have not already heard of with sometimes publishers themselves. I'm just talking about the indie author space and how perhaps that's something that might not be on your radar because you think, oh, self-publishing is where I'm going to be. So where do competitions fit into that? But actually, there's a lot of important competitions out there that you can
Yeah.
look at going into.
And
Mm.
a lot of the prizes, well, sometimes you get money, which is
Mm.
brilliant.
Oh,
That's really
so
nice
good.
to actually get paid for your writing.
Oh, yeah.
And I've had a lot of assessments, manuscript assessments as prizes,
Yes.
or part manuscript assessments. I've had marketing
Yep.
workshops and just like just conversations with professionals in the publishing space, which if you're not going trad,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter because you're still competing with trad published books, so it's really
Yes.
useful to know what publishers are thinking. And
Yeah.
you can glean tips from them in terms of marketing,
Yes.
or there's a lot to learn from everyone.
Yeah.
So I think it's really good. And also in terms of marketing yourself,
Yeah.
and a lot of people do want to leap on indie authors and say, you're less than, you're not as good. That's why you've chosen the indie path, not understanding that, we do it for creative reasons and
Yeah.
creative control.
Because we want
But
to
if you can
do it.
say, yes, I am indie published, but my book came second in this really big competition here, look,
Yes.
it gives you just that little bit extra, um, just makes you sort of more viable in the space, I
Yes,
guess.
that you take it not like the indie authors don't take it seriously, but I'm thinking in the eyes of a trad publisher, if that's something that you want to be recognized by. If they see someone who is a self-published author who has dedicated so much time into putting quality into their work through marketing on social media, getting out to
Mm,
events, meeting people, and engaging in the space. They're seeing someone who is, yeah, they really want to work and push their stuff out because even if you are traditionally published, there is a lot of responsibilities that fall on the
yeah.
author's shoulders as well.
And I think people looking inwards don't see that,
No.
but we know it and the publishers know it. And if you can say, look, ta-da, I did all this already,
Yeah,
then you've cut down on their workload. If you've
that's
already
it.
got your followers
Yeah.
and you're already out doing events or going into schools or speaking at libraries, then
Yes.
you've already on the platform, you're already a bit noticeable. Like
Yeah.
for the girl in the corner,
Mm.
there's a bit of buzz around it, like the
Yeah.
book is already a little bit known. So
It
I'm like,
is.
come on, publishers, where are you? Why are you not banging down my door? Come on.
Time will tell. We'll see. But yeah, it's
Yeah.
very exciting to see this come to life and competitions have been working out so well for you, Emma. This is really exciting to see. So I'm very excited to hear more about the girl in the corner and we'll see it hopefully out into the world sometime soon. Is there a release date for it yet?
I don't know what I'm doing at the moment.
All good.
I
Yeah.
because it's been, on such a sort of roller coaster of a year with all these competition
Yeah.
placings. I don't yet know what path
Yeah.
it's going to take. It's going to come out into the world because not to it is blow my own trumpet actually,
Mm,
like it's really good.
yeah. Yeah.
Whether it would find a home with a trad publisher, I don't know because it's so competitive at the
Yeah.
moment. And this book it's a bit different. It
Yeah.
doesn't fit the mold, like time slips are very, very huge.
Mm,
The dual timeline
yeah.
is
Yeah.
more of an unusual format in middle grade fiction. So I don't know where it will go, but you'll see it at some
Yeah.
point.
We will see it, and that's the main thing. And I also want to talk about the caption that you wrote under your Instagram post when you posted to your page about the award for getting second place in the competition. And you wrote, "It feels like the universe dropping a friendly note in my mailbox saying, 'Hey, you're doing okay.'" And I really loved reading that because sometimes you do need a little bit of a boost sometimes. So you definitely felt like this was a bit of a boost to your creative aptitude when you got that award.
I really needed it
Yeah.
actually. I was feeling both a bit creative burnout, but I was also
Mm.
feeling quite a lot of the why not me's.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Mm.
if you're an author, indie or trad, or an aspiring author, you know how important it is to be on social media
Yep.
a lot. So
Mm.
I'm on Instagram especially, and I kept seeing other people's successes
Mm.
and seeing, book deals flying around the place and all these events and
Mm.
prizes. And I was kind of thinking, and I'd been doing pretty well. And then I was kind of in the doldrums a bit.
Mm.
And, my views on Instagram were falling. And I had missed out on a couple of competition placings that I was quite hopeful
Mm.
for. And I was just feeling,
Bit blah.
why am I doing this? And
Yeah.
on social media, you've got to remember that everything is really carefully curated and you are only seeing people's high points. But when you're scrolling and you're just seeing other people's successes time and time after again, you can
Oh,
think like, why am I doing this? Why isn't this happening
no.
for me?
Yeah.
And then the CYA certificate, it just reminded me of like how far I'd come in the last couple of years. I mentioned that the year
Mm.
before I'd got nowhere with this particular book, and then it came second. And I just needed that reminder to stop. Comparison is the thief of joy.
It
It is
is
such a cliche, but it's so true.
so true.
And I had fallen into that pattern of just comparing where I was with other people. And then I compared myself instead to where I was a couple of years ago.
Mm.
I'm thinking, actually, no, I'm doing all right. I'm on the right path. You just got to keep on keeping on.
Yes, it is one of those things because when I even talk about, I had this chat with my friend SK Stapper, who's written a romantasy book, and she was doing a panel at the Leaf Bookshop earlier this week in Ashburton, and we were chatting together, and I said, like, can you imagine just sit and think about where we were this time last year?
Yeah.
Completely different in so many ways, even though there is still a part of us that's hungry for more and we want more and we have hopes for the future and concerns for the future about our books and how will this be received and all that. But taking a step back and thinking about how far you've come, and for yourself,
Mm.
Emma, like you have thrown yourself into this from 2019, is that right?
Yep.
So
Yep.
it has been 6 years and there are many, many more years to come, no doubt.
Yeah. And I think it is really important to just sit in that moment and just be like, so
Yeah.
I'm not at the same place as other people, but this is where I am
Yeah.
right now. It's part of my journey. And to
Yeah.
remember that you never know what's around the corner.
Exactly.
You never know if your TikTok video is going to go viral and you're suddenly going to get a spike in sales. Like you just don't
You
know.
have
And
no
I'd
idea.
lost sight of that. I was just feeling like it's not
Yes.
happening for me at
It's
the
very
moment.
easy to feel like that. It's very easy because that's exactly what you said before with social media showing the highlights. It really
Mm.
does favor the glossy, coated, good parts, curated
Yeah,
parts of a person's life, which we understand that that is part of selling yourself and marketing yourself, that you do have to show that kind of face. But the truth is a lot more complex than that.
yeah,
And sometimes I'm a big advocate of taking a step away from social media and just going, you know what, I don't have to post consistently. If I need a break, I need a break. I'm not a machine just looking for,
that's what I've done
yeah,
recently. I've had to really cut
yeah,
back because I was spending quite a lot of time on Instagram to sort of build
yeah.
this platform, and it was going great. And then suddenly the algorithm said, nah, not for you, not anymore. And so instead of being like, oh, throw everything at it, I just go, like, I'm just going to take a step back. And
Mm.
I was coming off social media. I was going to have a couple of weeks break, and that's when the certificate arrived. And I was like, oh no, we better quickly post about
Just
this
gonna
on
post this
social
and
media.
yeah,
My highlight, my big shiny highlight. I'll
yeah.
just pop that, and that's probably, there's probably an aspiring author somewhere looking at that, going, look at her.
Oh,
And that was
well,
that was my, curated highlight, not showing that actually
yeah,
haven't been feeling that great. So I do think it's
yeah.
quite important that we do show that it's not all shiny and great. And everyone suffers
Yeah.
with imposter syndrome and, creative doldrums where it's just not working or the words aren't coming or the characters aren't speaking to you.
Yeah.
It's part of the process.
It's just life. It's just the way that it
Mm,
goes, and you do have to be the steady ship that can weather the storms because they come and then they pass and life moves on.
yes.
And I definitely think with social media, removing that expectation to be on and to be happy and to be a professional shell on social media is
Yeah.
important to distance yourself from that because life and creativity can run without Instagram and without social media. You don't need it to always be a dominant force in your life. For marketing, yes, it is a necessary evil in a lot of ways, but it's okay to take a step back and just
Totally.
focus
You've
on other
got you've got to
things.
have the balance because
Yeah.
it can really affect your mental health. Like there are a lot of
Mm.
negative sides to social media, and I think we have to respect what you can do
Yeah.
without it making you feel like crap.
Yes, exactly. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens in the future with the even the ban on social media for children under 16 as well. That will come through. We'll see how there will hopefully be a positive change in the expectations to always be on social media, and
So,
it will help.
as a parent, I can't
Yeah.
wait for it. I've seen the negative effects of social media on kids that are just not mentally equipped to deal
Yes, if it affects
with it.
adults, then it's
Yes.
affecting kids. Then, yeah, I just think that the ban, I know I'm going off on a tangent here, having discussions about banning social media for children under 16 and under, um, is making adults think about why we are doing that. Why
Yeah.
is there, if there is a potential risk for children, then we've got to understand that there's a potential risk. Well, there is a risk by using it at all for every person. So, yeah, I
I
just,
hope I
yeah.
hope people are self-aware enough to
Mm.
think like that. I don't know, you might have more faith
Maybe.
than I
I
do.
probably do have too much faith in people, but it's definitely got me thinking, like, yeah, you know what?
Yeah,
I need to limit how much I use it because it's just become so ubiquitous
yeah.
with daily life.
And I've had conversations with my kids when I've said, get off your screens, and they're like, but
You're on it.
you're on your phone. And I'm thinking, yeah, but
Oh,
it's for work. I actually don't like being on
Yes,
social media, but it's for work. And
it's
they're
for
like,
work.
whatever, mum. And it does, it
Yes.
looks like I'm just scrolling, but you know
Oh
that before you
God.
post on Instagram, you're supposed to be on it for 5 minutes, liking and commenting on other people's posts, and then putting your own post up, and then commenting and liking for 5 to 10 minutes afterwards for the algorithm. And
No.
my kids are saying that this is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And that's why I had to just kind of go like, no, you know what? We just need to, everyone just pull back a
Just
little
pull
bit.
back. Yeah. And just use it as the portfolio of showing your work. And that's that.
Yes.
I love to comment and I love to chat with people on Instagram. And that's where I'm going to leave my engagement. I don't want to follow any rules. I know that is a suggestion to be on it for this amount of time and do these kind of things. But I've tried that. I just got real sick of it. I want to be
Yes.
authentic as
Yes.
much as I
I
can.
think that that is the exact word that I love when I see someone coming across as their authentic selves on
Yeah,
Instagram. And that's why I make posts about, like, "Ugh, I've been feeling a bit crappy," but that's
exactly.
normal.
It's normal and it's important. And that does link me to this next question that I have for you, which was about a bit of writing that you wrote in your newsletter, The Massive Missive. And you were talking about success, and you wrote, "Success isn't linear. Creative life has its own tides, and even the still patches serve a purpose." And I really love that analogy. I know we'd been talking about that before with the ebbs and flows of things like that. And so, how does it specifically relate to your own writing process if you're thinking right now and then the future?
So I tend to like just go gangbusters,
Yeah.
like I'll have an idea and then I'm just like all over it. And then if it's not working, I'll just put it down and I'll,
Mm.
I'll go gangbusters at the next one. And I think sometimes it's really important to just let go sometimes. And I think I wrote this again that I'd been doing really well this year. Like I was getting placed in lots of competitions, I was getting
Yeah.
noticed. I had agents requesting full manuscripts. And people probably don't know, but in trad publishing, it takes months and months and months for agents to read. But I was getting this kind of buzz going.
Yeah.
And then it all kind of stopped. And I was just like,
Oh.
and I had too many expectations. So
Mm.
then I felt quite let down. Whereas
Mhm.
really, I should not. I was putting all my eggs in the basket and just waiting for them to hatch into chooks.
Yep.
And really, I should have just been kind of like honoring where I am in my journey without putting too much expectation on what the outcome
Yeah.
was going to be. And it took me a little while to think, okay, well, perhaps I'm not quite where I thought I was in my
Mm.
journey, but that doesn't mean that I'm not going to get there. And I
That's
was
right.
kind of, I was on this upward trajectory, and you can't always go up. There
No.
are going to be ups and downs in creative life and life in general. It's
Yeah.
not, we're not all happy all of the time. Um, and I just, I had these huge expectations of where I was going career wise. And then I'd think like, okay, just pull back, just be
Yeah.
calm. And, there was a few days when I was feeling quite depressed about it and really quite down. And then I had to look inside myself and think, okay, well, why does this bother me
Mm.
so much? I'm still creating. I'm still doing well. I'm still doing better than I was doing before.
Yeah.
So just sit and regroup.
Regroup. Yeah. Taking time away from the incessant need to, I guess, beat
Yeah, and
yourself
it
up.
yeah, and it doesn't have to be go, 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 go. And I was kind of thinking, okay, well that didn't work. So what am I going to do now? Okay, I'll try this and try this. And it's like, flinging spaghetti at the wall and
Yeah.
seeing what
What
sticks.
sticks?
And
Yeah.
you can't do that forever.
No,
You
it takes
can't.
so much
You
energy.
have to pull back, and you do have, yeah, you have to give yourself some breathing space and some mental space.
Yeah.
So that's what I did, and I stopped creating. And then I read this thing on Reddit and thought, oh my God, I've got my next book.
And all starts again. The
Yes,
passion, the
and now I'm
joy.
back on that crazy path of,
Yeah,
having new characters in my head telling me to
that's
get
just
on with
amazing.
it. So if I had still been focusing too hard on where I was going with my other manuscripts, and like I've got picture books, I've got a couple of finished middle grade manuscripts, like I've got quite a lot of work
Yeah.
completed.
Mm.
And I'm just like, okay, I actually just need to create something new. I
Something
can't
new.
be just focused on where am I going with this, what's going to happen. It's okay to just write something and then put it away for a bit.
That's it.
Don't have to be constantly pushing everything out
No.
into the world.
We can't, we've just run out of steam. And then that's probably where maybe, and I've seen it happen, where some authors quit because they go, I just can't keep up with the
Yeah,
expectation that I put on myself, but it's not
yeah.
fun anymore. And even I was I was having a bit of a bitch and a moan to my husband about like, oh, it's so hard. I'm really trying to get this. And then he goes, oh, you don't have to keep going with it if you don't want to. And in my mind, I was like, no, I'm not giving up.
I'm not going to quit. I'm just
Quitting.
having a moan.
I just
Just
haven't.
want you to say, you've got this. You're fine.
Yes, yes. But I think
Not
from
why
his
don't you stop.
yes, and I thought that was it actually kind of did make me think like, well, why am I doing this? And it's because like,
Yes.
yeah, it's hard, but I don't want to quit.
That's exactly what I had thought about before I
Yeah.
made this little blog post, I guess, in the newsletter was, like, why am I doing this? I didn't start writing because I wanted to get a publishing deal or be on the New York Times bestseller list or Amazon bestseller. I started writing because it's fun and I like it.
Yeah. And that's the main thing that comes back and that we all should be harkening back to when things are
Mm.
tough. There is so much, we've got so much time. As much as we think, oh, with deadlines and
Yes.
things like that,
Yeah.
that's a different story. But there's so many different opportunities for creativity that we have no idea what's coming next. So just got to be in it to see what happens and not get too
Yeah.
bogged down in feeling in the doldrums sometimes. But easier said than done. But there's
It is. And
there's always
sometimes
another
it
year.
really does take the hitting the
Yeah.
rock bottom to go kind of like, all right, where am I at? Why am I doing this?
Yep.
Do I hate it? Do I want to stop because I've not got where I want to be professionally? Or am I a
Mm.
creative who enjoys making things?
Yeah. And you want to be the creative more so,
Yeah,
and that will carry you
yeah.
through
And
and give you.
again, that's the separation of publishing as a business and
Yes.
writing as an art. And it's really easy to lose sight
Yeah.
of the fact that you're just an artist. We're
We're just
sensitive little souls.
yes, as much as we pretend on social media that perhaps we're not. Oh my goodness. Oh
Yeah.
my goodness. It's so hard not to be sensitive about certain things. But that's just us. That's just the putting your soul out there. So, yeah, I love that. I think that was, yeah, such great advice for people out there to pursue what they love to do and to keep being creative. So, on that note, I should start to think about wrapping up this wonderful chat that we've had today. Oh my gosh, Emma, you've done an amazing job and given us so many good things to think about. So, I am wondering if you can give yourself a plug for where people could find you on social media or website, or if people want to get in contact with you, how they can do so, and where can
Yeah.
people find your work?
So my website is mgreville.com
Yep.
and you will find my editing business there as well as you can buy my little book. You can get
Yes.
signed copies of my little book
Love
on
it.
there. I do teach workshops in schools and libraries as well. So if you're in or around Geelong, you may well have met me already, actually.
Oh,
And I'm on Instagram at eGreville author.
perfect. That is Awesome. And
Oh, and
so,
I'll
oh
be
yeah,
at Clunes Book Fair
yes,
next March. I'll be up
awesome.
there as well, and I quite like a chat, so come and have a chat.
Go see. Well, I will get to meet you in the flesh because I'll
Oh,
be there
brilliant!
too. Yes, I'm
Oh,
going.
that's exciting.
It's very exciting. I'm only there for one day though. I'm only there on the Sunday. So, because it's a weekend event for
Yeah,
people in Victoria. If you can get to Clunes, which is near Ballarat, I'm just
all
thinking,
right. Yeah,
yeah, geographically, it's probably 2 hour drive from CBD, Melbourne CBD. So,
yeah, about
yeah,
that.
about that. It's definitely worth getting out there. If you're a book lover, you will be absolutely in heaven
That's
because,
amazing. I love
wow,
it. You know,
it's,
I go to sell books and come
yes.
back with more books,
Yeah,
way more books.
absolutely. And it's just filled with so many people. You just
It's just
almost
lovely.
you need to go both days, I feel like, to get
Yeah,
like
yeah, you
around
do.
the
Mm.
whole place because it's amazing. And so are you going to be with other authors in, do you know the other authors in the tent that you're going to be with?
Yes, we are all authors with the company that we
Oh,
printed these
yes.
books with, who
Okay.
are no longer
No longer.
functioning.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you know, because the indie author community is very lovely and inclusive, we've all got together and we're gonna, I think there's two tents of us actually.
Oh my goodness. I'm wondering whether I
Yeah.
might be in a tent close to you then.
But
Awesome.
my
Yep.
daughter sells little crystal bracelets. She's 12 and she makes crystal bracelets, so she'll be selling those and doing a bit of
Perfect.
face painting. And you know, my stall is like a riot of cuddly
Love it.
toys and just stuff.
I will be there. Like
Excellent.
I want my face painted. I'm going to get some crystal bracelets. Count me in. I'm so excited.
Perfect.
Well, with that,
Amazing.
I should say a massive thank you, Emma, for all your insight into your creative life and your creative ethos. It very much is in line with mine, and I have learnt so much from you today. And I know that lots of people who listen to this will glean so much positivity and insight and information into how to better themselves mentally as an author as well. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Monica. I've loved our chat today.
Oh, my pleasure. And please continue to let me know about all your writing projects and everything that's going on in
Will
the
do.
future. Thank you so much for watching the Indie Author Life show. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you want to know more about my own literary journey or the journey of some of our guests that you might have seen on the show, please consider subscribing or following my Substack or my YouTube channel. Finally, if you want to know more about my novel, Still Waters Run Deep, it is available on many distribution websites such as Amazon, Etsy, Baventi, you name it. All that information will be in the show notes if you're interested in learning more about my story to do with elemental magic and coming of age. Take care, everyone, and see you in the next episode.